Morning, everybody. Namaste. So let's start with Ved Panchashadi. Mantra number 45 by Rishi Vashishta from Rig Veda. So page number 149 if you have the book. Ye devanam yagyaha yagyanam mano ye yatraha amritaha ritagyaha te no rasantaham urgay matye yuyam pat swasti bhi sadana. हे प्रभो, हम 5 देवों पृथ्वी जल अग्नि वायु आकाश का सदा ध्यान रखें, उन्हें कुपित या दूषित ना करें। हम इसके साथ मन का संयम भी करें और हे प्रभो, हम आपके अविनाशी स्वरूप के दर्शन भी कर सकें और सदा आपके आशीर्वाद के पात्र बने रहें। 5 देव हैं विश्व में, प्रकृति के जो रूप, उनकी पूजा जो करत मानव भक्त अनूप। मानव भक्त अनूप वह योगी वह बन जाए, उसकी देह स्वस्थ हो आयु दीर्घ हो जाए। उज्जवल होए मन बुद्धि आत्म तत्व लखाए, सीख दें वे जगत को सुखी जगत हो पाए। शरण आए जो उनकी कर लें निज कल्याण, देव पूजन जन सब करें ले पांचों को मान। ईश्वर ने है देव बनाए, जग पूजन उनका कर पाए। पृथ्वी देव है एक महान, जल देव दूजा लो जान। अग्नि वायु है दोनों देव, आकाश की भी कर लें सेव। पंच देव को ना जो माने, होए दुर्गति तब वह जाने। देवों का जो ना सत्कारे, रहे रोग से पीड़ित भारे। Very clear message. Stop polluting these elements which are devatas. Okay. कई बार हम लोग तो इतने अनपढ़ हो गए हैं कि सो कॉल्ड देवताओं की भी पूजा तो करते हैं, तो डीएटीज की पूजा करते हैं, और इन देवताओं को, जो असली देवता हैं, उनको पोल्यूट करते हैं। जैसे गणेश चतुर्थी में क्या करते हैं लोग? So much plastic, so much garbage thrown into the जल देवता, है ना? Have to be careful. So today's book is Astavakra Gita, and we ended our class with verse number 54 on chapter number 18. Shrotriyam devatam tirtham anganam bhupatim priyam drishtvaha sampujye dhirasya na ka api hridi vasana. Whether he is honoring a Vedic scholar, the gods, or the holy places. See, these are all the people and the places to be honored. Or seeing a woman, a king, or a beloved one. Not a bit of desire ever springs in the heart of the wise one. Koi ichha nahi. Okay. Worldly desires, they're all gone. So now let's start our class with verse number 55. भृत्यहे पुत्रहे कलत्रेहे च दोहित्रे च अपि गोत्रजय विहस्ये धिक्कृतः योगी न याति हि विकृतम मनाक. Bhritya means servants. So Bhritre means by servants. Putre by sons. Kaltre by wives. Cha means and. Dohitre by daughters' sons. Dohitra. Cha means and. Api also Gotraje by relatives. Gotraje. Vihasye ridiculing. Dhikritaha abused, despised. Yogi, the realized one. Na yatihi, not undergoes. Vikritim, perturbation, like no agitations. Manak, in the least. The liberated is not at all perturbed. And over here, liberated, he's saying yogi, who is united with the absolute. So the yogi is not at all perturbed, even when ridiculed and despised by his servants, sons, wives, daughters, sons, and other relatives. Okay? No, does not get perturbed in the mind. Because insults and abuses, what do they wound? They wound our ego, not the Atma. Atma does not get wounded, but ego does. So this kind of a person has just transcended the ego. So that's why he cannot get perturbed. So to the yogi, both praises and abuses are just like a sounds in the air. Two different conditions of speaker's mind. A person who is talking, when a person has a happy mind, will make pleasant sounds. Those are called sweet words. And an unhappy mind makes the cruel noises. They are called abuses. So yogi understands these are the noises coming from that person. When he is happy, he will praise me. When he is unhappy, he will abuse me. It has nothing to do with me. So they both are disturbances created in the atmosphere around the speaker's mouth. So yogi is not at all affected by them. Okay, so whenever we see that we get wounded, we get disturbed, we get perturbed, or even when somebody praises us, how our ego gets boosted up, that's the ego. Okay, and what happens is when we get disturbed, then we react. When we react, we can create more karmas also. Either way, from abuse also, from a flattery also. So we got to just work on this. There is a story about Lord Buddha. He was going through the market. Somebody over there started insulting him, started saying abusing words towards him. Lord Buddha stopped there and listened to all the abuses. But the serenity and a peaceful smile on his face never left his lips. Once that guy was done, he just moved on. Because after saying those abusive words, the guy was tired. So he stopped making the noises. Now, next to Lord Buddha, there was his young disciple. He really got upset. He said, Lord, give me the permission. I will go back and show him. I will give something back to him. Lord Buddha replied, son, no doubt that man insulted me. He gave me a lot of abuses, but I did not receive them. So I have nothing to give back to him. In case you have received them, you can go back and give it to him. So when you don't even receive it, there's nothing to give. That's a yogi. This is called the perfect state of intellectual equanimity. When we say Sham Buddhi, this is a Sham Buddhi. No effect at all. But he did not try to stop that young disciple either. He said, you can do whatever you want to do. That is giving freedom. Okay. He says, I did not receive it, so I really don't need to give him back. So the person who has realized the self sees nothing but the self in action everywhere. That's a Samhita. He is neither attached nor he has any aversion. No rag, no dvesh. Everywhere, at all times, and in everything, he just sees the self. Okay? And that's why he revels in the peaceful effulgence. Santushtaha api na santushtaha, khinna api na chakhidyate, tasye ashare dasham tam tam tadrisha ev janate. Santushtaha, delighted. Api means also. Na, not. Santushtaha, delighted. Khinnaha, afflicted. Khinna api, so even afflicted. Not, na means not, cha means and. Khityate, feels afflicted. Tasya means his. Ashcharya dasham. Ashcharya is when you something is extraordinary. You see, Ashcharya dasham, stupendous state. Tam, this and that. Tadrishaha, those like him. Ev means alone. Janate, no. Though delighted, he is not delighted. Though afflicted, he is not afflicted. Only those who are like him understand this wonderful state. Okay, so if you have reached there, only you can understand his state of mind. Because there's no perturbance at all in good times or bad times. So the one who lives in the self has transcended his mind. So that's why when the mind is pleased, he is not pleased. Because he's always pleased. Because mind gets pleased through the senses and through the objects. He is, because his nature is happy. That's what he is. And when the mind feels afflicted, why should he feel afflicted? It's the mind which is feeling afflicted. So the mind and intellect and body belong to us. This is the basic over here. We are the owners of body, mind, and intellect. We are the proprietors, swamis. So if there's a delusion in the mind, that doesn't mean that I am deluded. I am not the mind. So always keep this separation. So wherever the sage be, under all conditions, he is experiencing that effulgence of the self. Atam Jyoti. He has become the self, the Ashcharya Dasha, which cannot be described in words. Or it cannot be even communicated. That's why he said that a person, those who are like him understand this. It cannot be described. Only by transcending the mind and intellect, we will be awakened to this kind of a state. So experience of the self is not known to ordinary people. Okay? It's almost like how can the pleasure and the sorrows of the dream affect anyone who is awake now? In my dream, if there is something happy, okay, or sad, but when I'm up, no effect at all. That's why people who try to analyze their dreams, they are sinking into the low ignorance. Dream is a dream, no reality to it. That's why it's called a dream. And over here, this kind of a yogi has risen above all of this. Okay? All states of consciousness, whether it's a Jagrat, Swapan, Sushupti. He has risen above that. Kartavyataha ev sansaraha na tam pashyanti surya shunye akaraha nirakaraha nirvikaraha niramaya. Kartavyata, sense of duty. Ev means indeed sansaraha, this mundane world, sansar. Na means not, tam means that, pashyanti sees, surya. This surya word over here is the wise. Shunya akara, of the form of devoid, without the form. Shunyakara. Nirakara, formless. Nirvikara, immutable. Niramaya, untainted, flawless. Niramaya. The sense of duty, indeed, is the mundane world. This is not acknowledged by the wise one, who has realized himself as the all-pervading, formless, immutable, untainted self. So don't think that he does not do the duties, but in his mind there are no duties. Whatever is in front of him, he'll do it. He has risen above the duties also. Okay? There's a Grihastha duties, Brahmacharya duties, Vanprastha duties. But a person who has risen, gone beyond all this, there's no duty. He doesn't belong to any ashram, any stage in life. And those are the people called avdhuts, beyond. They don't identify themselves as a householder or as a student or as a vanprasthi or even as a sannyasi. Their identification is 100% as the self. So he's talking about those people over here. The sense of duty indeed is the mundane world. He has transcended the mundane world. See, where we are right now, we do look at our duties very well. We look after what we have because we think we have that. We want to protect, we want to serve, we want to help, we want to take care of our relatives because this is the mundane world for us. And we want to do all those duties properly. But this kind of a person has risen above that. He doesn't expect anything, he doesn't do anything. Whatever in front of him comes, he does it, but without thinking that it's his duty. He's gone beyond duty. Or in other words, he cannot be touched by the laws of duties and responsibilities projected and maintained by the world. No more any sense of duty to anybody. Okay? So it's not out of laziness. It's not out of tamsikta. There's a big difference. It is out of transcending, no attachment at all, no aversion, just living the self as the self, by the self. अकुर्वन् अपि संक्षोभात् व्यग्रः सर्वत्र मूढधि कुर्वन् अपि तु कृत्यानि कुशला हि निराकुला. Akurvan, without doing anything, in action. Akurvan. Api means even, sankszobhat, owing to commotion within. Vyagraha, agitated. Sarvatra, at all times. Moodhi, one of dull intellect or a fool. Kurvan, performing. Api means even, tu is but krityani, duties, kushlaha, the wise, kushal. he indeed Nirakula, unperturbed. The fool, even in inaction, is ever agitated by his commotion within. Over here, inaction means not doing anything. That's why I said it means without doing anything. So he's not functioning through the body, but inside his mind is agitated, commotion going on. But the wise, even when performing his duties, indeed is unperturbed. So that's why I always tell you the whole yoga sadhana is the sadhana of the mind. Okay? Mind is the one which is going to go with the Atma. So, because in the previous verse, he said that he doesn't do any duties. So that means there's no doership. That doesn't mean he doesn't do it, he does it. But no doership that I am doing it, I'm taking care of the family, I'm taking care of my body, I am working, I am doing the social service, I am teaching. No, nothing of that. No doership at all. So perfect master will remain in life very active. It's not that he's like a log of wood. He serves the society with utter freedom of his own personality. So in this verse, Rishi Astavakra is giving us a difference between the activities of a man of perfection and an imperfect, egoistic person. So it's like a conditions of their minds. So the mind of a fool, he says, Murdhi, even while sitting at rest in his meditation, he might think that I'm meditating. But there are storms of passion in his mind. There's a constant commotion going on. His ego is almost bleeding with imagination. That is a murdhi. But a sage, ever calm, serene, because ego has been sublimated. His mind reveling in the self, he could be doing extremely difficult tasks to help the society. But there's a serenity in his mind. That's why you see that dynamism in these kind of personalities. They speak, they write. I mean, Adi Shankaracharya ji, whose book we have started studying Saturday, Vivek Chudamani, I told you that at a young age, I mean, he left the body by the age of 32. Before that, he traveled all over India. North, south, east, west, everywhere. Very dynamic personality. So mightier dynamism. Their actions almost become superhuman. And benefit goes to people like us. Because morally, these actions are so spectacular and they are blessing spiritually. Otherwise, why would we get so stirred up when we study Bhagavad Gita? Sunday, when we were reading those verses from that beautiful chapter, even though they were written 5,000 years ago, more than 5,000, it seems like that he's talking to us. We are in a Dev Asur Sampad Vibhag Yoga chapter, the Asuric qualities and the divine qualities. So that's why I said that spiritually it's a blessing what these yogis do for us. In Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, verse number 48, the same kind of an idea is given by Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is laughing at Arjun's pseudo-religion, because Arjun says, no, killing my guru, killing my grandfather, killing my relatives, it's a sin. So that's why Lord Krishna is laughing at him. Because Arjun is unwilling to enter the field of activity. That's why in a very crisp statement, he is telling Arjun and telling us through Arjun how to do our actions. He doesn't say don't do any action, run away from here. He says smatam yog uchyate. Do your actions with a equanimous mind. Then you are a yogi. You are not a yogi if you run away from your duties. So evenness of mind is yoga. Or equanimity within is a spiritual life. It's not running away from the duties or not just putting some orange clothes or yellow clothes or wearing Rudraksh mala. No. Equanimity within. And we see that there is in the same chapter, verse number 50. You should correlate these. The message which we are getting over here, we have studied all of it. Only thing is we got to learn how to practice in our life now. It's not only memorizing it and reading it and rereading it. That's not how God is happy with us. That's not how we become yogis. So in verse number 50, he says, Yogaha karmasu kaushlam. That's a yogi who does the action with skillfulness. Efficiency and dexterity in action is spiritual life. So that means the body should work, mind should stay calm, serene. Then we are yogi. So now if I read it again, you will see the direct translation of this verse, the fool even in action. So that means not doing any action is ever agitated by his commotion within. But the wise or a yogi, even when performing his actions, indeed is unperturbed. Nirakula. Okay? It's a very clear message. Number 59. Sukham aste, sukham shete, sukham ayati, yati cha, sukham vakti, sukham bhungte, vyavhare api shantadhi. Sukham happily, aste sits, shete sleeps, ayati comes, yati goes. These are some of the activities which we do. Next line, Sukham is happily, Vakti speaks. You remember we say Vakta, who is speaking. So Vakti speaks. Bhungate enjoys. And it has to do with the eating. When we eat something, Bhungate. Vyavhare, in practical affairs of life. When we are dealing with other people, Vyavhar. Remember, we often talk about the yogis, ahar, achar, vyavhar, right? They all got to be yoga anukul. Api means even, shantadhi, peaceful mind, a person who has a peaceful mind. Again, that means a wise person, a yogi person. Even in practical affairs of life. And practical affairs are what? When we are dealing with other people, that's a practical. It could be in our own family. Being a mother, being a grandmother, being a father, being a sister, being employee, employer. Those are all vyavhars. All comes into under this word vyavhar. Even in practical affairs of life, the wise one of peaceful mind. A person who doesn't have a peaceful mind is not a wise person. Okay? Sits happily, sleeps happily, moves happily, speaks happily, and eats happily. So whatever he is doing, under any condition, he is sukhi. No perturbance, no disturbance of the mind. This is a saint. So a saintly person has the inner condition of the mind is like this. It's almost like a divine experience. Outer experience could be anything, but inner experience is a divine experience. It's like a ever peaceful, no disturbance, ever reaches his antakara. Okay. So he is even minded towards all beings and all things. Then he says vyavhar, and his equanimity cannot be disturbed no matter what circumstances they are. It's not only in a conducive circumstances, it's not only sitting on the meditation seat in my temple. It's not only when people are just putting garlands in his neck. No, anytime. Because he has awakened to his aloneness in the self. Like a self alone is the reality. Okay. Shant dhi. Shant dhi. Again, if you go back to chapter in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, there is a very powerful little term Lord Krishna has used over there. Chapter 4, verse number 22. Lord Krishna says, the wise one sits happily, sleeps happily, moves happily, speaks happily, eats happily. You know what Lord Krishna says? Yad ichchaha labh santushtaha. He enjoys whatever comes to him unasked. So he doesn't have any desires. Whatever comes, that's fine with him. No perturbance at all. Okay, so this is what how you can go back to Gita and try to see where you can get the similar message. The reason I bring Bhagavad Gita in this class also, because you're all familiar with Bhagavad Gita. We have studied it many, many times. Okay, so he experiences the one universal reality without ego, without egocentric duties, and he is allowing himself to just be in that oneness of that all-pervading reality. Swabhavat ev yasya nah artihi lokvat vyavharina mahahrida iv akshobhyah gat kalesha sushobhate. Swabhavat, by his inner disposition, swabhav. Yasya, whose, na means not, arti, distress. See, the same word, we use it commonly. When we do the prayers, what do we call that? Arti. It's the same word. Because in Arti also, what are we saying? We are crying to God in despair. We are saying, God, please give me this. Please give me that. That's called a Art Pukar of a devotee. That is Arti. Okay? We are asking God, keep me healthy, keep my kids healthy, give me dhan, give me health. Okay, so Arti, distress. Lokvat, like ordinary people. Vyavharina, acting. Mahaharida, vast lake. Iv means like, a kushobhya, unagitated. gat kaleshaha, with sorrows gone. Okay, sorrows extinguished. Sushobhate, shines. One who, due to his inner disposition, even when engaged in practical affairs of life, does not have any distress like ordinary people. He remains unagitated like a vast lake. With all his sorrows extinguished, he indeed shines. See, mind is called a lake. So, lakes of our minds are disturbed with the ripples of the thoughts, right? It's just like there's a lot of ripples, a lot of agitation in our minds. And where do those ripples come from? There are two sources of these disturbances. Outer objects. When we see something, it disturbs us. Disturbs in the sense, desires start to form. We go to somebody's house, we see something great, we want to have it. And these days, we don't have to go anywhere. Even in our own house, we are watching TV or even looking at our computer, ad comes in there and a ripple in our mind. So the outer objects can enter our mind through our sense openings. So that's why I always tell you the senses are the inlets. Our eyes, our ears, our nose, right? Our touch, our taste. Those are all inlets. They create disturbances. But again, even in the absence of the outer objects, still there can be ripple inside. And where does that ripple come from? Inner mind. All the memories which are stored in there. Past experiences. Went somewhere, did somewhere something, talked to somebody, somebody said something to us. All those stored memories can create the ripples too. But the person who has conquered himself and reached the state of self-realization, ego and egocentric desires are completely absent. In that person, that yogi, neither the outer world nor his own subjective mind can bring any disturbance at all. He clearly sees, who am I and who are these disturbances which are coming? Nothing to do with it. Complete stillness, complete serenity in the lake of mind. Such a master has already transcended his mind intellect equipment. And that's where the tranquility he's feeling. He has become Atmaram. That is the term used by the scriptures. This is his mental disposition because he is recognizing himself, the real self, and he is never agitated. So even when he's engaged in the practical affairs, this is because a couple of verses before he said there's no duty for him. So that's why he's trying to clarify that it's not that he runs away from the duty, but there's no disturbance internally when he's engaged in his duties, because he doesn't consider that his duties, they're just happening. He is not disturbed at all in his constant experience of life. Neither desires nor ego ever rises in his mind to disturb him. That's why he said he shines. Because where is the shine coming from? Shine is that glory of the divine self. We all have that. We all are that. Because we are all self. But we have put a lot of darkness on that. Darkness means the desires, the ignorance, avidya, lot of likes and not likes. So our own light does not shine. So it's not that he is made of something else. This person is also same. There's no difference between his Atma and our Atma. Because Atma is only one. These are not two. It's almost like if you have 5 buckets of water, and in all 5 buckets, during the daytime, you are seeing the reflection of a sun in there. It's one sun in all 5. It's not that there are 5 suns. It's only our understanding that there could be 5, because if one bucket of water, somebody shakes it and that reflection is shaking, that doesn't mean the sun is shaking. But if one has a clearer water than the other bucket, sun is still the same. So the same thing goes with this Atma, the self. But in this kind of a personality, we see that divine effulgence, which is called Tej also, which is called Oj also. We see in the actions of this kind of a personality, this yogi. We see the way he walks and talks, sits, behaves. We all do all that, but he does it little differently. Because of this transcendence of the ego, there's a beauty which shines. And we all of us are on this path. We all need to reach there, because Guru never says that I have reached there, you cannot. Guru says, see, this is the compassionate nature of a Guru. Guru says, hold my hand. We both are going at the same place. That is the compassion. Okay, so let's do one more, and then if you have any questions, we'll take those questions then. Number 61. Nivriti api moodasye pravriti upjayate pravriti api dhirasye nivriti phal bhagini. Nivriti, withdrawal. Api means even, moodasye, of the fool. Pravriti, action. Upjayate, becomes. Pravriti, again action. Api means even, dhirasya, of the wise one. Nivriti phal bhagini, shares the fruits of withdrawal or inaction. So with the fool, even withdrawal becomes action. Okay, not doing anything but thinking about it, and that becomes a karam. So with the fool, even withdrawal or inaction becomes action. With the wise, even action results in the fruit of inaction. And that is what the akaram is. He's very busy doing the karam, but mind is not there. Because how does it become a karam? It becomes a karam in the mind. So he has transcended that. So just let me read it again. With the fool, even withdrawal, and fool is a person who is attached to the prakriti. So with the fool, even withdrawal becomes action. With the wise, even action results in inaction. So action and inaction, the dynamic life of acquisition of wealth and the passive life of renunciation of objects. That's what he's talking about over here. They both depend not merely upon the physical movements of the limbs, they both depend upon the presence or absence of the ego and its desires. So another word, when we talk about the doership and the enjoyership, when we say, no, I'm not doing it. Body is doing it. I'm not my body. That's a non-doership. So this is again, he's just giving us further clarification that self-withdrawal brings serenity of the mind. It is the outgoing tendencies of the mind that breeds in the restlessness. I am doing it. I have done so much. How come others don't see it? How come I don't get the benefit of it? That's where the restlessness comes. When you want you think you are doing it. You are so fixated in you are doing it, and then you want certain kind of a result from it. Otherwise, what is there to get perturbed? A fool who is egocentric, even when he is withdrawing himself from all activities, his mind is mentally, he's restless and unhappy. Okay. But a wise person, even when he is in the middle of activities, serving the world, serving the humanity, ever serene, ever happy. Nothing disturbs him. Nothing disturbs him. Okay, let's stop it here. Anybody question, Jyoti?
Manju?
Yes, Namaste Hershey.
Namaste,
I
Manju.
would like this sentence you just said. Self-withdrawal brings, and it was a nice long sentence. Can we have that, please?
Self-withdrawal, and self-withdrawal means nivriti over here. Brings
Yes.
serenity of the mind.
Brings serenity of the mind.
And it is the outgoing tendencies of the mind, pravriti.
Just
That
slowly.
it is the outgoing tendencies of the mind.
Yes.
Which is called pravriti, that I got to do this, I got to do this. That breeds in the restlessness.
That breeds. Okay, the restlessness.
Yeah.
You are defining us. Okay.
No, I'm not defining you. Actually, I was defining myself, Manju.
We should know the definition.
No, I was not. This was not a finger at anybody.
No, I know, but good to
No,
know
you guys all like to learn, and then the more we learn, it does rub off. Actually, to me, I think it's just like
it's much better. It's much better. Your all this effort is working, but slowly and surely it is.
Yes, it is. And just the fact that all of you are looking forward to these classes every morning. Yeah. I mean, that shows me that it's working. Otherwise, it could be pretty heavy learning. It's not that easy to even hear this. Average person will get agitated even by hearing this. But you come every morning. I think you get up in the morning and you wait for 10:30, don't you?
Yeah. Yes.
Some of you, I see that even before 10:30 you come in the class. So that shows your eagerness. Okay. Yes. Somebody else has a question, Jyoti?
Neeru has a question.
Yes, Neeru.
Yeah. Hershey, jo word tha akshobhya, unagitated in verse number 59. Unagitated akshobhya.
59 may.
Yeah.
It's verse 60.
Oh, it's a 60. 60.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Akshobhya.
60. Huh.
The kshob word is when something gets disturbed. Kshob. So akshob is undisturbed, unagitated.
Okay. This is used only for you gave the example of water in the bucket. So this is in relation to water and soul, or
no, this is related to these gunas. Kushob word is normally used when all three gunas, tamsikta, rajsikta, satvikta, when they are tranquil, there's no creation. When there's a kushob in there, when there's a movement in there, disturbance in there. So that's what it is used, kushob word. Okay, for the subtle things. Okay, because this word has come in Bhagavad Puran also, kushob. So a kushob means undisturbed, unagitated. Okay. Anybody else, Jyoti?
No.
Nobody else has a question?
I have a question, Ma.
Yes, Vidhi.
आप अगर थोड़ा और explain करें अभी line what you said कि when all the three gunas are in sync then there's no creation, is that right or is
Yes,
it not?
yes.
Yeah? Oh my God, can you please open that up? I loved it.
Yeah. You know, when there is they say there's a avyakt or unmanifested prakriti. Okay. This is all three are completely still. The creation happens, the manifestation happens only when there is a little movement in these three.
Oh my God.
Yes. So this is the basic difference between the manifested and unmanifested.
So
this prakriti does not disappear in pralaya. In pralaya, prakriti is still there. But prakriti is not in the kushob avastha. Okay? Yes. So it's just like a stillness is there at that time when it's unmanifested.
Okay. So when the stillness in the mind also, that means the tino are in sync.
Yes,
right?
when there's
a quiet.
Yeah, exactly. You are sitting inside your house, perfectly quiet. There is a knock on the door. You would like to check it out. Who is there?
Ji.
There's the activity. Or you are sitting, but inside your mind,
Ji.
some old memory comes up. So that's what I was saying. It could be from outside, external factor, or it could be internal factor.
Ji.
Okay.
Thank you.
And there is a little disturbance. There's a little movement. Only then you will get up.
Got it.
You are sitting and all of a sudden you remember there is a beautiful piece of mithai in my fridge. Right? You get up then and you go open the fridge. And then you say, yeah, with this mithai, I better have a cup of tea also. How many times you have done it? Like it's all inside.
So those are gunas when you feel
those
like
are
getting
gunas.
up.
Those are all, everything happens because of
आज तो काउंटर भरा पड़ा है मिठाइयों से.
So any desire is a guna. That's what you're trying to say.
Desires, any desire, and if a desire is a positive, helping somebody, that's a sattvic gun. It could be a tamasic gun, it could be a rajasic gun.
Gun. Right. Now I got the link together.
Yes,
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Jyoti.
Prem has a question?
Yes, Prem.
I don't know how to ask it. It's what you're saying is that I think you just answered part of it, is that if a positive feeling comes and we follow it, like for example, if a mithai I go to eat, I suffer for that, right? Because diabetes, whatever. And if it's a positive one, then that's sattvic. Then that's, I want to help somebody. I remember somebody needs help. Then, so the movement is of the thought. Movement could be looking at a television and looking at something attractive. I want it. So it could be from within or without.
Yeah, yeah. Constantly, this outside is affecting us and inside is affecting us, but we got to rise above this. Over here, he's taking us to that level.
Beyond that.
Beyond that.
Beyond.
See the separation between yourself and this Prakriti.
Yes.
It's like Buddha said, I did not receive the insult.
Yes, he did not receive, even though he heard the
Right.
insult, but he did not accept the insult.
So if
What
we
happens?
ignore, right?
Yeah, what happens to us at our level? We even imagine the insult or even the praise.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, we
Beautiful.
even go even beyond that. We are not even clear why somebody said it. How
We
much
make up
he said it,
stories.
because our mind is not
Yeah.
in our own hands.
Yeah.
We have lost control of it, and with the sadhana we need to control our mind.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the sadhana, maybe not this coming Wednesday, because I think Nishta has been asking me to talk about depression. So I think next Wednesday I'm going to talk about depression a little bit. A yogi's a yogic way to look at depression. Okay. Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm just a very ordinary yoga teacher. So that's how I'm going to give you my input in that. And Wednesday after that, we are having a little Thanksgiving program over here. Urmilji suggested that I should give all of you a chance to talk also. A poem or a write-up or a drawing or a painting, whatever, whichever way you are going to show us that how thankful you are to God. Okay. So don't make it about me. Don't say that we are so thankful to you. No, that I already know. Be thankful to God. Okay. So, and then maybe after a week, Wednesday after that, I can talk about the sadhana. Okay. So this is what sadhana we need to focus upon. That, hey, after learning all this, we got to make sure that we are going up and up and up. So I think many, if you don't mind playing a bhajan for us.
Why would I mind?
Yeah, you don't mind. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do the meditation music today.
Okay. Thank you, Manny. Thank you very much.